Welcome to the Natalie Enjoys Knitting podcast. My name is Natalie. I'm a knitter based on the East Coast of the USA, and I enjoy knitting. So, this is the space where I intend to talk about that. This is my second episode, so we're learning and growing together. If you want a perfectly curated video where everything is like crisp and organized, this is probably not the podcast for you. But if you're here for a little bit of joy, a little bit of chaos, but all in tune with joy found in knitting, then I'm glad you're here and I hope you stick around. So, what you can expect today, and I have my little notes on my tablet, so I will be checking those as we go, is some finish objects, some whips. I'll do a little like special segment where I talk about something that's on my heart. Today, that is things that I do while I'm knitting. We'll talk yarny things and then we will say goodbye until the next time. So I hope you have something to knit on while you're watching this. I hope you are hydrating yourself. Staying hydrated is good for life, y'all. Not even just knitting, it's good for life. I am currently drinking, this is some tea that I made. I believe it is by Yogi Teas, and it is their bright peach, which is like a peachy green tea. Very tasty. I also added maple syrup because I grew up in Vermont, and that is like the main export of Vermont besides like, I don't know, political activists. So yeah, I always like to include my maple syrup for a little sweetness. And I'm going to take my own advice, actually. I was like setting up to do this podcast, and I like would sit down and I'd realize I forgot something and I'd go get it and sit down again. So, mm, let me ground right here, right now. I'm so glad to be here with you guys. I am going to mention what I am wearing before we dive in. So, this is my pressed flowers shawl. It's made with an alpaca wool blend. I want to say Berocco, but maybe not. If I can't remember, I will just link that down below. Actually, everything I talk about, I will link down below because editing Natalie can look things up and put that info in the description for you guys so that podcasting Natalie can just enjoy the chat. So, yeah, um, let's start. Let's get going. First, we'll start with finished objects. So, I have two finished objects to share with you today. Both of them I talked about as whips in my last episode. So, if you've seen that, these are not surprises. But the first one, and let me just, I have everything on my bed here. The first one I want to talk about is this one. I'm calling it Golden Hour Tea, but the pattern is the Kuutar tea by Sari Nordlund. And the yarn I used is Malabrigo Sussuro, which is a blend of merino, linen. I think there might be some silk in there. There's definitely like a third fiber in there with these. So yeah, I'm super pleased with this one. I will share pictures someplace of the finish of me wearing this finished garment. I actually wore it the other day for the first time to go see The Devil Wears Prada 2, which was fantastic. And I like told my boyfriend, I was like, I'm gonna go see a fashion movie, so I have to look my best. And this is the ticket. I'm calling it Golden Hour. Obviously, the color is very golden. Let me move that into frame better. And it makes me think of that song by Harry Styles that's like, It's your golden hour. Oh, oh. So if you haven't heard that song, you might like it. You can give it a listen. This one knit up pretty quickly, actually. I think when I last shared it with you guys, I had been getting close to finishing the yoke. And after that, it was just stockinette, and the sleeves took like maybe an hour to do. So overall, I like it. I have a few comments on what I would do differently next time, and some of those relate to me and some relate to the pattern. So I'll start by talking about me because I can't complain about a pattern without acknowledging what I did wrong. Or maybe we're not perfectionists here, what I did differently than intended. So this pattern is recommended to be knit on 2.5 millimeter, no, I'm sorry, US 2.5 size needles. And then for the stockinette portion, you transition to a larger needle size, the US 3 size. Um, and I definitely meant to do that. I had both sizes of needle in my little project bag for this. And when I got to the end of the yoke, I think I just kept going. Like I thought I switched to the larger needle and I didn't. So then when I got to the hem, I was like, oh, gotta switch to those 2.5s again. And I realized they were, they had been. There was no switching that took place. So I think it worked out fine, but I do feel that like this lower portion might be a little more dense than intended. I also didn't swatch for this project, so, you know, buyer beware. That's the risk that you take when you don't swatch, but I am happy with how this portion came out. One thing I will say, which is about the pattern, so this lace yoke is written, it's like charted the same length down the torso for all of the sizes. So like if you have a larger bust, if you're knitting a larger size, it would hit further up on you probably based on like your shoulder width and height and everything. For me, I'm like I don't know my bust measurements off the top of my head. I'll put those in the notes, but I knit like the second size, so one of the smaller sizes, and that means that when I wear this, the yoke hits like down here. Um, and I don't mind that too much styling wise, but it means that I definitely have to wear something underneath, like a tank top or something. Um, and it doesn't fit the way Sari's fits in the picture for the pattern. So I'm not sure her measurements either, but I think she has a little bit of a broader bust. She might have a longer torso than me. So in her picture, the lace hits like right here. And that's kind of what I expected when I was making this. So, you know, we learn and grow. It's still a gorgeous piece. I think I'll get a ton of wear out of it. I'm interested to see how this yarn wears over time because with the linen content, there's like maybe you guys can see up close. I don't know. Um, there's like these little sticks, like these threads, yeah, threads that poke out. And even as I was knitting, I was kind of like pulling the longer ones out of the yarn to try and keep it smooth. But I'm not sure, like with friction of regular wear, if that will become more visible. So, yeah, overall, though, despite my mistakes and despite my concerns with the pattern, um, I love this top. And I think just if I knit Sari's tops, or if I knit, because she does a lot of tops like this, like the circular yoke, lace yoke, and they look gorgeous, but I think I just will be careful in the future when selecting those to make sure that I either manage my expectations or the size hits where I want it to on the bust. So yeah, whip number one, my golden hour tee. Let's move on. This is finished object number two. It's actually still damp because I literally blocked it yesterday. Um, so I haven't had a chance to wear it yet. Maybe in my next episode I'll wear it and I'll tell you guys about the final fit. But this is, I'm calling it Champagne and Roses top because this champagne color of this gorgeous yarn. And the pattern is the Tonight top by Lily Kate France. So this is my second Tonight top that I knit. And both times that I knit the Tonight top, it was with special yarn. So my first Rhinebeck 2 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't know. My first Rhinebeck, um, I got this gorgeous green cashmere yarn and I knit a tonight top with that. So when I went to Rhinebeck for the second time last year, I wanted to do the same thing. I love this pattern. It's super well written. It has like bust darts. It has this double knit edge, which is like just a really refined detail. It has this nice collar. And like this is the kind of top that I feel like I can definitely wear for work. I'm gonna set this down. My arm's getting tired. I also shed my shawl because it's honestly the middle of June, so let's be real. I can't wear a shawl inside. Um, but yeah, so this top, it took me a while to knit up. I wasn't monogamously knitting on it, so there's that. But it is knit on US size 3 and US size 2 needles with fingering weight yarn. So it's an investment in time, but I feel like it's worth it for the finish. Like you really get a top you could wear to work, you can wear out on a date night, and like people won't even realize you made it yourself, which like sometimes that is a flex to like clearly wear something handmade, but I love when I go out and I just wear a shirt and like I tell someone at the end of the night, like, oh yeah, I made this. And they're like, what? You made that? Like, so yeah, that's really fun. Some notes from this round of knitting. This yarn that I used is it's called Camel Silk by Dragonfly Fibers and Canon Hand Dyes. So this is Camel and Silk, my first time knitting with Camel. And the yarn is very drapey and it is not very stretchy. So even just looking at this, I have a feeling, and let me like get it in, let me get it in the shot better. I have a feeling it's going to have a looser fit on me than I expected, a looser fit than my other Tonight top, which should be fine. Um, but in retrospect, like you see these arm holes. I'm sure they'll like sit a little higher up when I wear them, but it seems a little long. So I might be wearing a little tank top like this one underneath it when I wear it, just so that my side boob isn't coming out. So that's just a note for myself. Um, and then also the neckline. So I chose to do it slightly shorter, I think, than Lily Kate recommends. I think she says 2.5 inches, and I stopped at 2 inches. And she even says in the pattern, like, bind off really loosely. And if you have trouble binding off loosely, go up a needle size binding off. I did go up a needle size binding off, and it was still way too tight. I could hardly fit this over my head, so I actually had to unpick the bind off. Um, Initially, I had done just like binding off in pattern, like binding off in 2x2 rib with that larger needle. But after having to unpick the bind off, I was like, let me put a bit more thought into how I do this. So I went on a little hunt down Google knitting rabbit hole, um, looking for a bind off that would suit this pattern because I wanted it to sit like close to my neck when I wear it. I don't want it like to flare out or fold over, but I also want to be able to fit it over my head. So I found this really amazing article, and I can't remember who wrote it, so I'm just going to link it down below for you guys. Um, that went into detail unpacking like different bind offs and specifically like how stretchy they are and how much they flare out. So that was super, super helpful. And in looking at that article, I ended up deciding to use Jenny's, I think it's called like Jenny's Super Stretchy Bind Off 2, or maybe it's called Jenny's Interlock Bind Off. But Jenny, we all gotta love Jenny. I think she's uh, saved many a sock knitter from too tight of a cuff. She created another bind off style that's like interlocking, um, and it is a sewn bind off, so that took a bit longer. But I think this worked out really well. Like as you can see, it does not flare out, but like if I stretch it, and I don't want to do that too much because it's still damp, but like your girl can get her head through the hole. So mission accomplished there. Um, Looking at this garment, I'm very pleased with it. I think there's some areas where my tension could have been slightly better, like on the edges and stuff here, but we are not going for perfection. We're going for fun. I had a great time knitting this one, and I think I will equally enjoy wearing it. So that is my second finished object. The pattern is Tonight Top by Lily Kate France, and I'm calling it Champagne and Roses. Okay. Moving on to works in progress. My first work in progress is one you may have seen before if you watched my last episode, but I have made some more progress. So I want to talk about that. This I'm calling The Ocean is My Sister. And the pattern is the Kolding Shawl by Chris Berlin. And this is a huge shawl. I don't even know if you can fully see all of it. Let me stand up. Boom. Like this baby's gonna be long. I'm a little past the halfway point, so it has like 3 parts, and when you finish part number 3, you're halfway, which is where like this edge hits its furthest out point, and then you start to work the pattern and the edges sort of start to go in again. I love this pattern. This is another one that I have knit previously and I'm knitting again. I definitely, in the time between I did the first one and the one now, I forgot how long it takes. Hold on, let me sit back down. Yeah, since I lit, since I last knit this pattern, some kind of brain fog, knitting forgetfulness came over me about how long it takes and how much ribbing it is, because let's be real, aside from a little bit of stockinette here in the center, it's mostly ribbing. Different types of ribbing. You've got like your 1x1. Oop, hold on. Stitches need to be rescued. So, yes, where was I? This shawl is a ton of ribbing, but why I love this is that it's perfect for single ply yarns, which that was a lesson I had to learn on my knitting journey. Sometimes you see a yarn in the store and it is gorgeous. It's soft, it's squishy, the color is gorgeous. And then you go to knit with it and you're like, why doesn't my project look like the picture in the pattern? And that happened to me the first time knitting with a single ply. I think I tried to knit like a sweater pattern, and it came out fine, like it fit me, but I was like, why does the ribbing look crooked? Like one side of the ribbing, and no, I don't think this highlights it as well as that pattern did, but like the ribbing looked so wonky. And like upon reflection, later on, I realized this is a characteristic of single ply yarn, is that depending at the gauge you're knitting it at, even like ribbing or stockinette stitches are not going to sit evenly because a single ply is like only twisted in one direction. So unlike a two-ply yarn where you kind of have that balance of the two plies balancing out the shape of the stitch, with single ply, you'll sometimes see like one leg of the stitch is super juicy and plump, and the other one is like a little less juicy and plump. And that's just because of the way the yarn is. So, lessons learned. I had knit the last one in a single ply and I love how it looks. Like it's just perfect for squishy, lightweight, like you can wear as a scarf, you can wear as a shawl. And I wanted to have that experience again with this one. So, oh no, did I drop stitches again? Okay, no, we're safe. This yarn that I'm using is by Manos del Uruguay. It's called Fino and the color is Diving Bell. And it's this gorgeous, like light blue, teal, green, which I love and inspires the name that I have for it, which is The Ocean is My Sister, because the ocean is a friend of mine. It's almost like a sentient being that when I am by the beach, I just feel so held by the earth and the beautiful cadence of the waves and the shining of the sun on the water. And I feel a similar way about this pattern, about this yarn. So, one reason why I've stopped again on this, and I'll probably pause on it for a couple of weeks, is I ran out of yarn. Like, very seriously ran out of yarn. Okay, this is what I've got left. This is not yarn chicken, you guys. This is yarn pterodactyl. Okay, this is big time short on yarn. I don't really know what I was thinking here when I started. I knew I only had 2 balls of this yarn. I knew that the yardage for the pattern was much more than the yardage of 2 balls of this yarn. And I was like, I'm just gonna figure it out. So yeah, we have hit a roadblock, and I'm just gonna buy more Monos Fino. Something about this yarn, I believe it's hand dyed. It's like kettle dyed, so there are not dye lots. So it's really better to get all your yarn at once to make sure it's cohesive. And I'm not doing that. I'm probably just going to order it online and get what I get and not throw a fit. So we'll see. Hopefully that turns out. One thing I do like is it is variegated. So it's not uniform in color anyways. So I hope that either it's close enough or maybe that just becomes like a design feature of the shawl, which like I love that for us. Like we can do something that feels like a mistake and then decide no, this is a feature. This is a highlight. I love this. So that's what I've decided with this. My first whip, The Ocean is My Sister, which is the Kolding shawl by Chris Berlin. Oh my god, it's just so soft, you guys. I really love this one. Okay, whip number 2. This whip, I haven't come up with a cutesy name for it yet, but I probably will by the time I'm done. This pattern is the mini Moby sweater by Petite Knit, and I'm knitting it in, oh, I didn't put that in my notes. I think it's alpaca something. It's an alpaca wool blend yarn by Green Mountain Fibers, Green Mountain Wool. And this is another one that I got from Rhinebeck. Actually, my first Rhinebeck. I'm from Vermont, and when I saw the Green Mountain Wool, their brand might be called Green Mountain Fibers. I'm going to put it in the description, you guys. So, but when I saw basically a Vermont-based wool brand, I got so excited. And Alpaca Elegance. Ah, I remembered. The yarn is called Alpaca Elegance. It is so soft. It's the perfect blend of like softness with woolly structure. And I knew right away that I wanted to make a cabled sweater with it. So, the story behind knitting one for my daughter is that I actually started an adult size Moby. I started the male Moby pattern because I was in a relationship with a man at that time. And as it goes, right, I think it's called the sweater curse. I got like, I finished the body of that sweater. I was about to just cast on the sleeves, and the relationship ended. So that killed my mojo a little bit. Um, I do think I will finish that sweater and just wear it for myself because I put so much work into it. It's like the same. So you can see it's like cables and cables and cables and texture, um, which I love. And I love this yarn. I really want to wear it. But while I was recovering my mojo for that project, I got excited to cast one on for my daughter. So this will be for her, and we'll eventually have matching sweaters. I'm knitting it in the size, I can't remember how Petite Knit does the sizes, but like the one intended for a 4-year old. And my daughter is turning 2 this summer. So my hope is by the winter time of this year, she will be able to wear it and it'll be a little oversized, and then we'll get a second season out of it next year. Um, she does grow so fast. So we'll see. At least we'll get one season out of it. And yeah, this knit up pretty quickly. But I did take a pause. So I started in November working on it. Within a couple weeks, I had finished the body and I already did the neckline, which is like this folded over hem. That's pretty characteristic of a lot of petite knit patterns. Um, and then I was putting it in hibernation to work on other things. So just recently, I picked it back up and I decided I would get those sleeves on there and I would get it done for like a quick win, since I have this other whip that is a long term, a long haul. Um, I will say something I love about Petite Knits patterns. They're really easy to follow. It's charted. Um, I don't know if it's also written, but the chart is easy to follow. Even though there's all this texture and cables, it's like designed in a way that it feels really easily memorizable. So once you get a feel for the repeats, you just kind of can keep going and glance down at the pattern chart every now and then. Um, so yeah, this one feels really cozy. The yarn, oh my gosh, guys, the yarn. This is why I love knitting with wool. Like I love knitting with all natural fibers, but like wool specifically, it's like the lanolin and the soft knit, it just feels luxurious to knit. Um, and I hope it will feel luxurious to wear. I have a little bit left on the left sleeve, so I think I can knock that out in like an evening or two, maybe. Um, yeah, that's it. That's all I've got on this one. My mini Moby sweater made in Alpaca Elegance by Green Mountain something or other. Ah, okay. So with that, let's move on to a share from my heart. Um, hmm. I wanted to take a moment and talk about the things that I do while I'm knitting, because knitting is something I'm doing all the time. Like every time I leave the house, every time I sit on my couch, every time I'm sitting down to work on my laptop, I have a knitting project nearby, just for those moments where I need something to do with my hands. And I talked about this a bit in my last episode, but as someone who has like sensory sensitivities, who is neurodivergent, having like a fidget to do with my hands is so helpful. Like the feeling of knitting feels good. The fidget, the movement of the knitting feels good. And having like a project that I'm always working on also feels really good. So, with that being said, there are plenty of times where I'm just knitting while I chat with a friend or knitting while I watch my daughter. or watch a movie. But what I do while I'm knitting has kind of fluctuated over the years, and I'm sure it will continue to do so. Um, but yeah, I do three things lately. Like there are three things that when I sit down in the evening to knit, I'm usually gravitating towards. So the first one is knitting podcasts. Is that a surprise? No. That's not a surprise. I will say when I first was getting into knitting podcasts, I watched a ton of them. Like I had so many different YouTubers that I followed. And over the years, it's kind of reduced down to my core favorites. And that's just like, yeah, that's just the evolution of being. So, one of the OGs that I followed, that I very first followed, that I still watch, is Kuutar. She's based in, oh my gosh, I want to say Norway. It's not Norway. Sweden? Denmark? Oh my gosh. She's based in a Scandinavian country, okay? Notes will be below. But I've just followed her journey as she was like first a content creator, then she was creating knitting content, then she was creating knitting patterns and designs. At this point, she's published multiple books. She's also a mom, and I'm a mom, and she became a mother around the time I was going through my pregnancy. So I just feel like a connection with her and a gratitude for her for all that she does. I will say her videos are always beautifully shot. I think she has experience as a professional photographer and videographer, so that definitely comes across in her videos. Another knitting podcaster that I love to watch is the Knitting Traditions podcast. So that one is created by Inga. She is also based in Scandinavia, Norway. We'll see. I'll put it in my notes. But yeah, Inga again, just a beautiful soul, a person with a beautiful perspective and spirit. And I really appreciate that her knitting podcast is not overproduced. It feels very much like sitting down and having a chat with a friend about knitting. And she is a super talented knitter and also pattern designer at this point. So I see her work and it just inspires me. Like I see things that she makes and I'm like, oh, like one day I will be that prolific. And she has such a sweet soul. She's also a mom to two kiddos, and I really enjoy watching her content. And then a third knitting podcast that I wanted to share, which is kind of new for me. I only found this recently, but I'm sharing what I've been watching recently, so I feel this fits. Is Ailsa, I want to call her, from the We Are Wool People podcast. She is an Australian based knitter, and she does have a knitting podcast which maybe I've watched some of, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. My favorite videos that she creates are called Hot or Not. And I have just been binge watching the Hot or Not videos that she's made. The most recent one she did, I think, was with her friend. So it was like her and her friend. And what they are assessing is hot or not is they go through the Ravelry like top 10 hot right now patterns and they just say if they would knit them or not and why. And it's so much fun. It's a good bit of fun. It's definitely, I think she walks the line very well of like celebrating knitwear designs in general, even if she would not knit them, but also holding a point of view unapologetically. And yeah, there's like a little bit of snark in there, but just the right amount. And she has this gorgeous Australian accent that I love. And I can't wait to watch more. I want her to make more hot or not videos so I can keep watching them because I watch like all of them. Um, yeah, and maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll do like a hot or not segment at some point in the future. So that is like knitting content that I've been watching. I also, when I am knitting, watch DJ sets. Oh my gosh, you guys. I love this because I was a rave girly in high school and in college. I love some high BPM music. Okay, I love to move my body. I love to vibe out and dance with the girlies. And also right now my lifestyle is that I'm a mom and I just am not able to do that every weekend. So to give myself the experience, I've been watching DJ sets on YouTube, which if you're into EDM, actually, if you're into any genre of music, not even EDM, I highly encourage you to look up a DJ set of someone of, of someone making that music play. What am I trying to say? You know what I mean. Curating a selection of songs. Ooh, yeah. Okay, that sounds way better. Curating a selection of songs. Um, and I just like sometimes I'm sitting there knitting, and this is especially good for like patterns where I actually want to look at what I'm doing. So maybe like watching a video, watching a movie is less ideal. And I vibe out, you guys. And I'm like dancing. I like work up a sweat and I'm moving and I'm grooving and I'm knitting. And it's like, it's everything my little heart loves. So I wanted to mention some DJs specifically that I've been enjoying if you want to check them out. One of them is Nasthug, Nasthug. I believe she's based out of Japan, but she also is like mixed. She has some kind of Caribbean roots, and that definitely comes through in her music. It has rhythm, it's like so well blended. It's a whole vibe. Love Nasthug. Another DJ I have been listening to is Taylor Elaine. She is like so hot. Like she just like her whole vibe exudes sensuality. Like I just want to meet her. I want to be her. She's like that girl, except you know what I mean. That bee that you want to be. And I love her whole energy and her whole vibe, and the music matches. Like it's got rhythm, there's R&B, there's hip hop, there's like I listened to one that had some like Cuban salsa sounds to it mixed in with like Eric Pride's like push me and then just touch me so I can get my satisfaction. Satisfaction. Oh my gosh. That's is that Eric Pride? Benny Benassi? If you know, you know. It's a vibe. So I've been loving that. Taylor Elaine, definitely check her out if you are looking for something to dance to. And then finally, DJ I have been enjoying listening to is Rebecca Black. Oh my gosh, guys, I forgot about Rebecca Black. When I was in high school, she came out with a song called Friday. And at that time, she must have been like a teenager. I don't even think she was 18. And this song came out, and it was kind of a meme of like a horrible song. Like people would play it, but they'd play it to annoy you because it was like, it's Friday, Friday, gonna get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend, weekend. And like, it would like get stuck in your head. Um, and that was my last time seeing Rebecca Black. Well, Rebecca Black has grown up and she is a badass, okay? She is super cool. Not only does she create and produce her own music, she also DJs sets. And there's a couple of hers now. I think she did Boiler Room, a set with Boiler Room, and a set with at Stagecoach, probably others, but I highly encourage you to check her out. She is blending like nostalgic 2000s pop that I grew up with like serious EDM, grimy, like get down, move your body beats. And her attitude is unparalleled. Like she's just untouchable. Again, like she's that girl that you want to be. So, yeah, that's what I've been listening to when I do my knitting. I hope that inspires you. And let's move on to our next segment. Our next segment is yarny things. So I did acquire this yarn recently. Sometimes in yarny things, I'll just talk about yarn that I have that I want to use, because I'm trying to use more of my stash and not just like constantly buy yarn. She says that she has a lot of yarn in various shopping baskets all over the internet, but the effort is being made. So this yarn is called Sugar Cane by Circulo. I got it recently in Austin, Texas, when I was visiting my friend, and we checked out this yarn store. It was called like Yarning. It might have just been called Yarning. Definitely will link down below. Gorgeous store. Also, the store associate that helped us, her name was Natalie, and I was like, I was meant to be here. Oh my gosh, Natalie, I'm Natalie. So that was fun. And yeah, they had a lot of plant-based yarns, which was really cool because it makes sense. Like in Austin, Texas, woolly wools might not get as much use, but like your cottons, your linens, your silks, um, bamboo, like all of those yarns are much more breathable and cool for the summer. Um, so we had a good time checking everything out. But the reason why I got this one is it is made from sugar cane, which is probably why it's called sugar cane. But it is, yeah, it's 100% viscose from sugar cane. And it's in the colorway, I don't know if it has a name, color 4094, which to me is like a rosy pink rose gold. Let me see if I get it like nice and in focus. There we go. So it's a DK weight yarn. They did have a sample in the store of this knit up, and I think it's going to be very, very drapey. And not so good for like a structured knit, like a close fitting t-shirt, but better for something flowy, like a drapey, lacy, top, something that has texture to it, because this yarn I think on its own is a little textureless. So like you want a pattern that has some texture to it and that you're okay with draping over the body and you don't necessarily need to fit with structure. So I have been ideating what I want to make with this. My mind is not made up, but there are a couple ideas I have. So I was going to share those with you all. I've been looking at DK weight summer tops. I only got 3 skeins, so I think I'll be able to squeeze out maybe a t-shirt, or definitely I could get a tank out of this. But each skein is only like 150 yards, so it's not going to be a blouse or a top or a large shawl. It's going to be something a little smaller. Um, some patterns that I've found, and I will cheek or cheek. I don't know where on the screen I'll put them, but I will put them here. Um, Include Bluebells in Bloom. So Bluebells in Bloom is like a tank top. It has sort of a lace edge detail. I think it looks really cute. Out of the ones I've been looking at, it's the least likely one I'm going to go with for this yarn because I'm a little concerned that it will lose its shape over time, and it's sort of a close fitting tank top, so that may not be ideal, but I think it could be made to work, if done with intention. Another top that I have considered for this yarn, which is currently trending like hot right now in Ravelry, is the Wildflower top. So that one is a very lacy tank top, and it's just gorgeous. Like it's just got so much lace detail. I think I would definitely feel proud of making that. I also would probably get a lot of wear out of it in the summer seasons. So lots of potential there. And I almost just decided to knit that one. And then I was watching We Are Wool People. I was watching Ailsa of We Are Wool People in one of her Hot or Not videos. And she was wearing this top, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that top? It is perfect. And I went digging a little bit, and she actually took the Salty Days sweater, which is a pattern by Veronika Lindberg, aka Kuutar. That's a sweater pattern, and she modified it into a tee. So Veronika's original pattern has like these different sections of the torso that are knit with different lace work and cable work. So it's like a display of different textured patterns all in one, which I think is why it was so popular. But in Ailsa's version, not only did she modify it, like she made it a tee instead of a sweater, she also added repeats of the lace pattern section. And I just think that looks so good. Like, I love how that looks. So, yeah, we'll see what I end up with for this one. But I'm really tempted to just copy her. And she did mention in the pattern notes, I think, that she was playing Yarn Chicken. I'm also playing Yarn Chicken. I only have 3 skeins of this, so we will play Yarn Chicken together, perhaps. We'll see. And with that, I am going to wrap this up. I'm so glad that you are here. Thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned, all the details of what I've spoken about, I will include down in the description. This is perfect timing to end this because they're mowing the lawn outside. And so I don't know if you can hear me, but I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Whatever you are doing, just keep going. Keep doing it. Enjoy your life. You deserve it. Mwah. See you next time. Bye. This is a test video so I can see if I look good on camera. If I look over here and talk, what does it look like? Ooh, I forgot my microphone.